And welcome in. Oh, what a great day this is. It's finally got to be really fall. It fell today. This morning, I think the lows were anywhere between 40 and about 45 in the metro area, Shreveport and the outlying areas on this 22nd day of October. Let's see, 2018. It's a Monday. And rainy days are not here. They're not getting me down. It's Tom Pace. And welcome in to Strategies for a Living, live from the Bossier Parish Community College Telecommunications Building, high atop the third floor, and with a great crew that's operating the cameras and punching back there as directors and producers. I'm Tom Pace, and I'm hosting for the good man, David McMillan, who has more on his plate than he can consume. And so he said, Tom, can you do it for the semester? I said, sure, if Jonathan Elmore will approve it, and so be it. And so here we are today. We have a group of guests that we bring in throughout the semester, and we think they're all just top-notch. And they all have a story to tell. And that's the most important thing about Strategies for a Living. As David says, head strategist. And then there are these people like Mr. Billy Weatherall. It's not in roofing, okay? Don't anybody get confused. Weatherall is not something you put around your door. You actually are the owner of ChristFit Gym, correct?
Yes, sir, I am.
Well, welcome in, and glad to have you here, Mr. Oh my gosh, look at that. You not only have a six-pack, but I think you've got a 12-pack there. Have you always, ChristFit Gym, where's that located?
It is located on 1040 Chinaberry Drive. And it's located beside Vicky School of Dance. So that is our second location. Our first location was on Benton Road, so we moved the last year and a half.
So does that mean you have two or just the one?
We just have the one. We moved from the old location to the new location.
And Chinaberry runs off of Benton Road?
Yes, sir, right by the Brownlee Park.
Okay, so how long have you had the ChristFit Gym?
I started in about 2009, 2018, so coming up on 10 years.
So it's 10 years anniversary for Mr. Billy Weatherall.
Yes, sir. Next year will be.
You know, it's got to be a blessing to you because, A, the name ChristFit, does that ever have an issue? You ever have people with issues about using the words ChristFit Gym?
Well, we have in the past, and the thing with ChristFit Gym, before it's a gym, it's a ministry. I started the gym in 2009. It's a completely free gym.
Wait a minute. Did you say a completely free gym?
Yes, sir, completely free.
You mean you don't charge for the people
Nothing.
to come in?
We don't charge a dime, no, sir.
Oh my gosh, whatever possessed you to do that?
Well, you know, Mr. Tom, I didn't believe in the Lord until 2006, and I was one of those guys where it just, man, I hated God. I was deployed to Operation Afghanistan in 2001 for Osama bin Laden. I was one of the head guys up there, 20 years old. I turned 21 years old on that operation. Just saw some really bad things, lost some friends, and did a 5-year stint in active duty military. And man, one night when I got back off the active duty, man, I was just really struggling a lot. My life was just in shambles, and one night I decided I was going to take my life. So it all started on October 1st of 2006. So I'm drinking a beer, and I'd used a camouflage Bible as a beer coaster. And as I'm going and I'm setting that beer down, I'm picking up a gun, and I got it to my temple, and I just looked down at that Bible, and I said, God, you know, I got a lot of issues with you. And I said, if you're really real, I said, please show me. I said, because if you're real, I said, I will give you everything that I have. I said, I will give you my life. I said, if you show me that you're real. I passed out that night. The next day, I get a phone call from a good buddy of mine. He invited me to a Promise Keeper seminar. I gave my life over to the Lord that evening, and I've never looked back. And the reason I have a free gym, and the reason we created a gym that's free, is because I want to tell people about Jesus. You know, he's just not something that our grandma tells us about. He's just not something that churches tell us about. I'm here to tell you that God is real. And how do I know that? Because he changed my life. He radically changed my life. And I was one of those guys, I was the believer that would laugh about you. You tell me about Jesus, I'd be walking to the other room. But man, Christ is just not important to me. He's everything to me now.
Now, let me ask this. First off, ladies and gentlemen, this is a man telling not just a story, but the story of his life. and the ministry that he has over there at Christ Fit Gym right here in Bossier City. The other part to it is he is and I guess you are separated from the military.
Yes, sir.
What rank and what service?
I was U.S. Army active duty for 5 years, and then I got out after 5 years. I became a drill sergeant for the 2nd of the 378th here in town, and I did that for about 10 years. So I got out as an E6 staff sergeant.
Drill sergeants are the ones that are not your mother, right?
We are not your mom, and we're not your babysitter. Yes, sir.
It seems like I've heard that, and then you ring the bell for reveille, and then everybody pops tall and things of that nature.
Yes, sir. And we make you run till you throw up.
Do you really?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so you looked at this, and by the way, you had the gun. Now, was the gun loaded? Everybody wants to know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The gun was loaded.
What kind of gun was it?
It was a Jimenez 9mm pistol with one in the chamber. I had every intention of taking my life that night.
But you didn't.
I did not. I did not.
Why not?
The only thing I had was that camouflage Bible, and I wanted purpose. You go from being in active duty and saving the world. You go from doing great things and operating all this machinery and being in charge. I went from having purpose to saving the world. I get out. I start working construction. I get yelled at for not sweeping out a house correctly. And nobody knew, the things I had done, but I lost a will to live. I lost purpose in my life. I just needed purpose. And I said, God, just give me something to live for. Give me something. I said, if you give me something, I said, I'll serve you. Yeah, I said, you will have every ounce of Billy Weatherall. Not having a clue of what a Christian man looked like. I said, I don't know what it looks like. I said, but I'm going to serve you.
See, this is, can I say, for many people, a taboo subject. Don't want to talk about it. Woulda, coulda, shoulda, maybe not, that sort of thing. And yet, Mr. Billy Weatherall, Christ Fit Gym, Bossier City, just off Benton Road, Chinaberry, has a free gym. Now, are they required to be members of faith or
no,
what?
Absolutely not. So I want people to know when they come in. I called it Christ Fit Gym. I got a cross on the door because I don't want people to get ambushed when they come inside there.
Right.
I want people to know, and there's a lot of people that don't believe in the Lord. I was just running with a young man this morning that doesn't believe in the Lord. I'm not going to shove Jesus down your throat because he'll do that himself. I'll just open up a Bible. I'll start reading some passages and encouraging people. But there have been 8,000 people that have walked through the door since we've been
Wait
open.
a minute, 8,000 people?
8,000 people.
How
that have walked
many
through the door.
today are enrolled?
Oh, gosh. I have no clue,
Well,
Mr.
yeah,
Tom.
give me
I would say on a regular day today, like today, we'll probably have 200 or 300 people come through the doors.
Yeah, but on a monthly basis, would you have 1,000, do you think?
Oh, more than that. I would say probably about 2,000, 2,500. I mean, we have an average of 5 new people a day.
What a blessing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you think that's something, there's another question I must ask, but we're going to take a quick break. That's what we're going to do because the tease is everything. Speaking of teases, coming up at 12:30 today, which is about, let's see, 22 minutes away from right now, is going to be Sydney Parker and Adam Stampley at the news desk over here with the latest BIPC news, the Bossier Parish Community College news, what's happening around the campus, what's happening in your lives. And they're going to be at the news desk with various stories. So you don't want to miss them at 12:30 right after we finish with Strategies for Living. But when we come back, the tease, wasn't there something that really was a major event that occurred that you almost didn't survive?
We survived. We survived. I wouldn't say about almost, but it was pretty big.
It was a
pretty
big
deal.
event, and it had to do with a local high school. You want to hear more about it? Stand by. Live from the Bossier Parish Community College Telecommunications Building, the big studio up on the top floor. It is Strategies for Living. I'm Tom Pace, your guest strategist for David McMillan. And soon to be returning with Mr. Billy Weatherall from Christ Fit Gym, telling you exactly what happened that set the school board, the Bossier Parish School Board, on its ear. Stand by.
When a counselor asked how much my husband drinks, I said, not that much. I don't know why I said that. He always drank too much. But I guess I'm so used to keeping it a secret that I didn't tell the truth, to myself or anyone else. My husband has drinks with friends after work. He has a couple of drinks at home with dinner, and a few more while we watch TV. Pretty soon he's shouting at me and blaming me for all of his problems. I just can't take it anymore. A counselor recommended Al-Anon family groups. She said Al-Anon members have had experiences just like mine, and they would explain how Al-Anon is helping them. I didn't want to go to Al-Anon, but I'm sure glad I did. Is someone's drinking breaking your heart? You might be surprised at what you can learn at an Al-Anon family group from people just like you. Call 1-888-4-AL-ANON or go to alanon.org.
My son is a handsome young man, like a movie star. There's no limit to what he can do. I don't know why he would ruin himself with alcohol. When I think about the happy boy he used to be and how sad his life is now, it breaks my heart. I love him as much as I ever did, maybe more, but I don't understand why this is happening. My therapist recommended I go to Al-Anon family groups. He said Al-Anon members have lived through the same kinds of things that are happening to my family. I didn't want to go to Al-Anon, and I didn't want anyone to know how difficult it's been. But I'm glad I went. Is someone's drinking breaking your heart? You might be surprised at what you can learn in an Al-Anon family group from people just like you. Call 1-888-4-AL-ANON or go to alanon.org.
And we're back, and welcome back, and thank you for joining us. Strategies for a Living. Tom Pace, your guest strategist on this very beautiful, it is the day the Lord hath made, and let us rejoice and be glad in it. Do I get an amen?
I got an amen.
Amen. Billy Weatherall, Christ Fit Jim, our guest today, and over here at Bipsy. And by the way, we're live on Suddenlink, Channel 12, all across Bossier and Webster parishes, thanks to a wonderful agreement they have with Bipsy. Now, Mr. Billy, when we last spoke about 2 minutes ago, 2.5, we teased the fact that there was an event that occurred, 2 months ago?
Yes, sir. I'd say about probably close to 2 months ago.
2 months ago, and it had to do with a piece of advertising that you, as a client, had negotiated with Parkway High School.
Yes, sir. Well, Benton High School.
Benton High School. Mm-hmm. Benton High School.
Right.
Help everybody understand what happened.
Okay. Well, to start off, we do a lot of advertisement for all the high schools in town, Airline High School, Benton High School, the elementary schools. I mean, we sponsor, and we've been a part of the school systems for a long time in sponsoring events and stuff like that. We have a lot of schools that come to the gym and teams that work out there. So this wasn't our first rodeo. Well, every year we put our logo in the football field at Benton High School, and I got a phone call one morning. This will be our second year to do it. And they said, Bill, we have to remove the cross off the field. And again, we had paid for the end zone. We had basically bought the end zone.
And there was a contract signed.
There was a contract. Yes, sir. There was a contract for the logo.
This was a renewal from the year before?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And they just said, hey, we got to take the logo off the field. And first of all, I'd paid. I had bought the end zone, and I just said, hey, you can't do that. And the thing is, too, is we've allowed, Christians have allowed to been pushed around here for, since 1960. I've done some research, extensive research on this, and studied a little bit of law since this has happened, and just listened to a lot of people. So I researched, and I said, I'm not going to allow it to happen. So we took a stand. We said we're not going to allow the logo to be removed, and it was a pretty big ordeal there for about a week.
They did paint over it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They did. Mm-hmm.
For one week.
Football game. Yes, sir.
And then it seemed like the wheels fell off the wagon on the opposition.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that. What occurred after that?
Well, the whole community got behind it, and I got on my hands and knees that morning, and I prayed. I said, Lord, Christians have such a bad reputation for the way that we fight. I got on my hands and knees, and I prayed. I said, God, just give me wisdom. I said, help me to do this in a way that honors you. And, the community got behind it. We started praying, and it went to the school board, and the school board had voted. And they unanimously voted to put the logo back on the field.
Wait a minute. That was in light of the fact that all of a sudden you got this desist or get the logo off.
Right.
When the full school board voted during the week.
Right.
They voted unanimously in favor of putting the logo back.
Absolutely. I was at the vote, and really in my heart, I didn't know how it was going to go. I was really unsure. But when it came back with the 12-0 vote to put it back on the field, I was absolutely blown away. That's just how good God is.
Do you feel like, and I'm going to ask a question that some people would say, well, you're leading the witness, but I'm not. Do you feel like it was divine intervention?
Absolutely, I do. And it wasn't a hard decision for me to make. And this is why I'm so passionate about it. If I see a group of people burning a flag outside, I'm going to take offense to that. I've had friends that have spilt their blood for the U.S. flag. I fought. It's personal to me. When you spray paint over a cross on a field, that's personal to me because my friend Jesus died on a cross for me. He died for all of us. So I'm not going to sit back and tell you it's okay you can spray paint. I'll never say that. I mean, that is something that I would die for. I die for this country, and mostly, I die for Christ. That's what he's called me to lead. He's called me to lead from the front, and it goes back to October 1st of 2006. My life belongs to the Lord. I serve Him, and I serve Him only.
So, Billy Weatherall, Christ Fit Jim, telling us the story of how, in so many words, according to Mr. Billy, and I believe him because he is a man of God, that Christ intervened in this situation, and the school board came, and they stood up, and they fell in lockstep with him. However, could I also add, would they maybe not have done it had the citizens and the constituents not called it?
Well, I asked him, I said, how in the world was the vote unanimous? And every one of them responded. They said, Bill, we are elected officials, and we are doing what the people who put us into power want. And they're like, everybody wants the logo back on the field. They said, if we voted otherwise, why are we elected?
Not only that, but then they might not have been
re-elected. Yes, sir.
There
yes,
you
sir.
go. Let me ask you a question, and this goes back to your service, and you were talking about considering taking your life. Do you have or have you ever been diagnosed with PTSD? Do you ever have quote-unquote flashbacks?
I do a little bit, not near as bad as I used to.
But you did used to.
Oh, bad.
Tell
Very
me
badly.
about that.
You just sleep, and you're always on guard in the military. I've had friends that I've served with that have been beheaded. So when you go overseas, you talk about being alert all the time. And I'm not talking about on base. I'm talking I was out on the streets and just, you're always just trying to survive. You're trying to keep your brothers alive, and always, your finger's right here on the trigger wheel. You're always prepared, and when you live like that, you come back home and you try to transition. I would wake up in the middle of the night and be searching for my weapon. I'm like, where's my rifle at? And I just forget I'm back home. And you go from firefights, you go from that type of adrenaline rushes just to normal everyday living. And you crave what you had at that time, and you won't have that. You look for that adrenaline rush again. That's what so many guys turn to the bottle, they turn to pills, they turn to drugs. And I talk to veterans all the time. I've become a big advocate for veterans and tell them the only solution to your problems is Christ. That's the only thing that helped me. That's the only thing that saved my life was me calling out to the Lord. Pills can't help you. A bottle of alcohol can't help you. It's just, there's just so much to it. But yeah, guys are struggling, and I'm bigger than that. God is bigger than that.
But He touched you in a way that made you whole.
Absolutely. Well, the first step was I cried out to God. That's the first step, is you got to cry out to God. And I cried out to the Lord, and I said, Lord, I searched for Him. Within my heart, I searched for Him, and I found Him.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I've talked to a lot of people, Senator Cassidy and others. If I'm not mistaken, there are 21 veterans that are committing suicide every day.
Yes, sir.
That's on an average. Mm-hmm. Some days more, some days maybe a little less.
Right.
What can be done, or is there anything that can be done to lessen that?
That's the question I have. What can I do? And I feel like I'm in the fight right now with Christ Fit Gym. I feel like I'm inviting veterans. I'm telling veterans the truth. And that's it. I look around and I see problems. And I'm praying. I'm asking God. I'm like, God, what do I do? Bill, you're the solution. I've created you to help. Don't be a problem. Quit complaining about it and try to fix it. And that's what I do. This year coming up, we do a 100-mile crosswalk. I get veterans that I've served with. I go to the base and I'm reaching out to veterans. It's just like, hey guys, help me. It's attracted to them because we go 100 miles. We carry a lot of weight. And all throughout the crosswalk, they have that camaraderie. And I tell them all about Christ. And I'm talking about thousands of veterans have come through Christ.
Wait a minute. 100-mile, in other words, walk with the cross,
yes,
or
sir.
for the cross,
Yes,
when
sir.
you say crosswalk.
Right.
Where does this start? Where does it end? How do you navigate that?
It starts at Christ Fit Gym November the 30th, and it ends December 1st. And, last year I'd raised some money to get a whole bunch of veterans. We had veterans come from Washington. We had veterans come from Boston. We had veterans come from all over the world to come and carry the cross with us. And it does make a difference. The solution is, tell them about the Lord. And God just wants, the men that I've served with are so self-controlled, they're so disciplined. And once they see that God is real, and what they're doing is they're watching me, they're watching the way that I used to be and the way that I used to act. And I was a good soldier. When I was in, I was a very good soldier.
I bet you were squared away, as they say in the Navy.
I was very squared away overseas. In the barracks, not so much. But they see that there's been a genuine difference in me. And they see something has changed and they want it. They want it. They're like, Billy, how do you sleep at night? How do and how are you making it through life right now? And it just opens up the door for me to tell them all about the Lord.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how many of you have ever gone to bed at night nervous. Are you going to make it through the night? That old Sammy Smith song, Help Me Make It Through the Night. And it could be, maybe you're worried about home invasion. It could be that you're worried about, getting up the next morning, worried about whether you get to work. Is there, and I'm not going to say a big, from 50,000 feet, a big solution, but what kind of advice would you give to somebody if they are troubled, nervous, they can't sleep?
The word says that you cast your cares, you cast your doubts, you cast your anxieties on the Lord, for He will sustain you. You cannot carry your burdens. Eventually, it's going to crush you. Eventually, the bottle's going to get to you. Eventually, you're going to die. You're going to become depressed. But God says, just give it to me. And you got to have faith to do that. Because it's like, if you don't believe, you're like, oh, Lord, here it is. But let me take it back. Truly give it to the Lord and let Him carry those for you. That's what He died on the cross for.
Billy Weatherall from Christ Fit Gym and Tom Pace here. I've got 1 minute. I just saw the floor director, and he looked up. He was directing the floor. Give me 1 minute. So what would be the closing thought you want to leave? Oh, isn't there a passage in the Bible that you ascribe to?
There, 1 Timothy 4:8, and this is what it says. It says, for physical training is important. It's important to be shaped, but godliness holds hope now and forever. It's important to be in shape, but you have to know the Lord. And you know what? God came to give us life and give it to us abundantly. I love life. I love serving the Lord. And one day I'm going to die, and you know what? I'm going to go be with the Lord forever.
God bless you. Billy,
thank you, Mr. Tom.
May the good Lord bless and keep you.
Yes, sir.
And
Thank
protect you in your travels.
Amen.
Amen. And a 100-mile walk for the cross. And get in touch with Mr. Billy. What's the phone number?
You can call me directly, 318-573-3666.
318-573-3666. I love binary numbers. Tom Pace, thank you. Strategies for a Living, live from Bossier Parish Community College. Coming up, you've got the big duo on the desk, Sydney and Adam. What's happening in Bipsy News till next Monday, where we'll have Dodie Horton, State Representative, Tom Pace saying, God bless you. Be kind to one another, and may God bless America.